All right, so now we're going to dip into the clairs. So what are the clairs? That's what we're going to go into first. So most living things experience in the world through a combination of ordinary senses. Our ordinary senses, of course, are what we learned in kindergarten and first grade and second grade, right? Sight, hearing, smell, taste, touch. And these are the material senses. The material senses. They're going to come into play in our clairs actually in a little bit. So, however, our senses are very limited. Thinking about our sense of sight, most people, that's most of us, see less than 1% of the electromagnetic spectrum. We see less than 1% of all the possibilities of color. Is that crazy? The existence of the rainbow only exists for us because we have the specific conical photoreceptors in our eyes that see this band, this wavelength as color. To animals without cones, the rainbow does not exist. Just like for us, those things outside of that 1% do not exist to us. Do they not exist at all? No, of course they exist. We don't perceive them. So we don't just look at a rainbow, we create a rainbow with our ability that our eyes have. And that is pretty amazing, especially considering that all those beautiful colors that we can see represent less than 1% of what is possible out there. Now, however, there are animals like chickens, I found out in my research, that are tetrachromats who have even more receptors and can see 10 times more color than the average person. There are people who are born as tetrachromats who see more colors 10 times. So they see 10% where we see 1%. Average person sees 1%. So when we think about that, just to that concept, just as there are people who can perceive more colors, there are people who have naturally developed psychic senses. And in times past throughout history, these special people would be seers, oracles, shamans, and others who would have had access to otherworldly information, right? They just knew how to do it, but they were also trained as well. Just like other skills, people can be gifted in these areas, but anyone can develop their skills to become adept, right? Some people are born artists. They're really good at art. They still go to art school to get better. Some of us are not born artists, but we can go to art school and learn how to paint or draw and do these things. It's true, everyone can draw. If you take a class and you learn, you can draw. So even naturally gifted people need training to develop the fullest expression of these gifts. So if you are like, I don't have any clairs or I don't have any of these psychic skills, they can be developed. We talked about some of the things that you can do to develop focus, to develop telepathy. And now we're going to talk about the clairs and then the things that you can do to develop each of those clairs as well and practice some of those things as well. So the clairs are the super senses, the senses that go beyond our five senses. And they are means of picking up that information beyond what our ordinary reality senses can receive. So our ordinary reality senses say, this incense smells really good, but our super senses can pick up other things beyond what our nose, eyes, ears, and so on can pick up. Clair information is an expression of intuition. It's another way of saying I'm intuitive. It's the modality of our intuition is what you could call it. And intuition is our ability to perceive sensory and extrasensory input. So intuition can rely on some of the things that are in our material world, but also brings in extrasensory input that might not be perceptible in ordinary ways. So your intuition is your inner guidance system and your inner compass. It tells you which direction to go. Should I go down that dark alley? Should I go to that party? Should I do this? Should I do that? It tells us what direction to go. What do I need to know about this situation, etc. So just like your ordinary senses, intuition alerts you to information, but it also makes it possible to connect to the spirit realm, right? So if I hear people arguing around the corner, I might not want to go around the corner. That's my ordinary sense telling me trouble around the corner, right? But we could also have intuition that tells us, don't go around that corner, or yeah, go around the corner. Something there is good for you. But intuition is different than our ordinary senses because it does allow us to connect to the spirit realm, to divine energy, to our spirit guides, to our higher self, whatever you want to call the spirit realm. Now, there are 8, I would say, known and defined pathways to receive intuitive information, which are the 8 clairs. The 8 clairs have always existed. We started out with just clairvoyance back in the 1700s. They were talking about clairvoyance. Now, as time has gone on, they're identifying new ways of getting intuitive information besides clairvoyance. It's just like we are discovering new intelligences, right? We used to think intelligence was how you could do a math problem, but what about emotional intelligence or creative intelligence? So it's just, these things have always existed. They might be new words, new to you, but they've always existed. They just have names now. So let's jump into our first one, the oldest identified one, which is clairvoyance. So clairvoyance means clear seeing. And it is the ability to see things in non-ordinary reality or to see things in your mind's eye. It's a visual thing, in other words. Clairaudience means clear hearing, and it's the ability to hear things in non-ordinary reality or to hear things in your mind's ear. What's your mind's ear? Just like your mind's eye. It doesn't mean that you're hearing a voice. It may be you're hearing it in your mind, but it sounds like a voice in your mind's ear. Clairsentience means clear consciousness, and it is the ability to physically feel physical sensations in non-ordinary reality or to get messages through your body and your body senses. Claircognizance means clear knowledge, and it's the ability to just know things in non-ordinary reality. I just know, right? That's claircognizance. I don't know how I know, but I know. Clairaudience. Alliance is not even a word. I don't know where clairaudience came from, so I can't say clairaudience means clear smelling because alliance doesn't mean smelling. But clairaudience is the ability to smell things in non-ordinary reality or smell things in your mind's nose. Love Witch says, I get this one all the time. I don't get this one, so you'll have to share about it. I know about it from understanding other clairs, but you guys who are clairaudience might have some insights as we get into this. So we're going to jump into each one of these a little bit more. Clairgustance means clear tasting and is the ability to taste things in non-ordinary reality or to taste things in your mind's mouth. Like you can imagine the taste, right? Clairtangency, this one was new to me. Clairtangency means clear touching and is the ability to perceive non-ordinary information through touch. So it's different than clairsentience. It is touching something. Clairempathy is our last one. Clairempathy means clear emotions and is the ability to pick up emotions in non-ordinary reality or to feel emotions that are not your emotions.